ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. ओम ओम नारायण. We are in the 5th chapter. Just a minute, I'll take this. In the 5th chapter, 25th shloka, the last word we discussed, Sarvabhuta hite rataha. This Sarvabhuta hite rata is a quality of Atma. See, Sarvabhuta hite rataha is a quality. Quality means is an expression in your mind. You express, that means you behave towards everybody. You love everybody. You don't hate anybody. That's what it means. Sarvabhuta hite rata. At the level of body, you act with no intention to hurt anybody. No intention to hurt is at the level of mind. That is, mind means having an intention. Mind is an intention. So here a jnani has no intention to hurt others. Why? See, 2 level, 3 level, let us say. One is the physical level of action, mind level feeling, then the Atma level, the Anubhava. 3 levels we have to understand. Sarvabhuta hite rataha. He is engaged in the benefit, in the good of others. Everybody. Sarvabhuta, of all beings. He is devoted. He is committed. He is devoted to the well-being of all beings. That's what Sarvabhuta hite rataha means. So, in physical behavior, he doesn't hurt anybody. He tries to do good to all, in all circumstances. That's one. Then at the level of the mind, mind means a motive. So his motives are not based upon any individuality. His motive is pure. He always consciously, unconsciously thinks good of others. He doesn't entertain a thought of ill will towards anybody. Okay? He doesn't hurt anybody, harm anybody, but only does good to all in his physical level. In his mind, his motive, his intention is he always thinks good of others. He has no other motive, no intention of hurting, harming, exploiting any living being on the earth. Now, how does he get that motive, get that feeling? That's because his feeling is dependent upon the absolute fact of the Atma. The Atma, his Atma is not an individual Atma. His Atma is the universal Atma. Everybody's Atma is the same. When he understands that all the Atmas are one with himself, all the Atmas are one united with himself, he doesn't see himself as an individual Atma interacting with another person. It is like my hand, how does a hand feel with another hand? How does my hands feel about my legs? See, how does the hand behave with another hand? Does it ever imagine, even in dream, to think of hurting another hand? Does my one hand ever think of hurting my another hand or another part of the body? I see my all parts of the body as one myself. So each part of my body cooperate with myself. Because my self is the one self in and through all the parts of the body, isn't it? The same Atma is present in all the parts of the body. When this hand is acting, it doesn't think any other parts of the body as somebody else, as outsider. Therefore, it never thinks of hurting another part of the body, because the Atma is one behind all the parts of the body. So this is the example applies here. Jnani sees the entire universe is himself. All the living beings are identical to himself. All the living beings are identical to himself. Therefore, he doesn't see anybody else as different from him. He sees them also as a part of his own body. Then such a person, if he so two level. One is in his understanding of the Atma, he sees the Atma is one behind the entire universe. Then at the level of mind, he has no ill will, because a good will or a evil motive, a good will or a hatred, these two arise in a person, an individual person, when he sees the another people. You see the common man, an individual, when he relates to other people, if other people are convenient to him, they are good to him, he is also good to us. We are also good to them. Okay. If other people harm us, we carry little bit ill will, at least a little bit. If he hurts me, if he harms me, if he is against me, then I'll carry a little bit of it. Why? See, the basis is the other person sometimes favorable to me, sometimes against me, unfavorable to me. Me means what? He is your individual me. If you are an individual, two things come here. If you are an individual, there are other beings, other living beings. Once there is a division of me and other beings, once there is a division of me and other beings, I am one Jiva, one Atma, they are other Atmas. This is Dvaita. Once there is a Dvaita, the other beings are sometimes favorable, sometimes unfavorable. To whom? To me. The me is a limited me, I am not all pervasive me. If I understand myself as an all pervasive me, then I cannot think of anybody as unfavorable to me. This is the thing. Jnani, by knowing himself as a non-individual but a total universal individual, universal Atma, then he cannot think anybody else, somebody, he cannot think of all other beings as somebody else other than him. Because they all have to be himself. They all are himself. Then how can he think anybody as any inimical to him? Even if they hurt the physical body, it doesn't feel hurt, because this body belongs to all, the entire universe. The body belongs to the same Atma as the other's body. That body, this body, both these bodies belong to one Atma. It is the same Atma functioning through that body and this body, expressing. Functioning means expressing. So, if one body is hurting another body, the body doesn't carry ill will. If suppose by mistake this hand hurts this hand, do you think this hand carries ill will against this hand? It takes revenge, or at least carries ill will, or at least afraid of this another. It doesn't entertain any feeling of fear or hatred or revenge. Okay? Why? There are no two minds. Mind is one behind all the limbs of my body. Similarly, since the mind is one behind all the limbs of my body, you can't entertain a hatred or any other feeling. Similarly, when he understands himself as the whole universal being, all other human beings are just like the limbs of my body, they all belong to the one Atman. Therefore, since he doesn't see himself as an individual and other people different from him, if he saw himself as an individual and other people are different, then the question of relation comes. In the relation, some are favorable, some are unfavorable. When some are favorable, you love them. Those who are unfavorable, you carry little unhappiness. You'll be displeased. Once displeased, then the feeling may be either fear or anger or hatred, or try to avoid them, or some such things. But here the Jnani, Sarva Bhuta Hite Rata, it doesn't hate anybody. See, doesn't feel hurt. Two things. Neither feels hurt by anybody's behavior. He doesn't feel hurt by anybody's behavior, nor he carries a personal ill will against anybody. Because all the bodies are the limbs of the one Atman. One Atma is inhering in all the limbs, in all the living beings. Therefore, Sarva Bhuta Hite Rata. Then the physical expression also in keeping with that mind. So that means he doesn't see, in short, it doesn't see himself as an individual related to other people. He sees all of them are the limbs of one body. Okay, this is Sarva Bhuta Hite Rata. It is not simple ethics, but behind the ethics there is a feeling. Behind the feeling there is a vision, there is an understanding, there is an intuition of Atma. Okay, without that intuition of Atma, by simply taking it as a social behavior, you can't practice it, you can't be successful in your practice. You may try to practice it, but you won't be successful unless that practice is accompanied by Vedantic Vichara also. This we have discussed in our previous class. If you want to practice that I don't want to hurt anybody, I want to love everybody. You love everybody, don't hurt anybody, don't carry ill will towards anybody, don't hate or hurt anybody. This is ethical value is good, but if you try to practice it, you won't be able to success. You won't be successful. You won't be successful unless the motive behind also is corrected. But the motive means the mind, the feeling behind the behavior. At the level of mind, there is a feeling. The feeling also cannot be sustained all the time. Because you slip down, again you start fearing others or hating others and getting angry with others. The feeling also slips down unless you understand the inner Atma as a one. So therefore, ultimately, it is the Atma, understanding the Atman as a one, that alone makes your feeling perfect and your behavior also perfect. Otherwise, simply if you act at the level of behavior, you try to be good to the entire world, you try to do good to the entire world, you will not be able to succeed it simply by taking it as an ethical behavior. Ethical behavior itself will not be successful unless your motive, your feeling changes. The feeling also you cannot retain all the time unless that understanding of Atma also. Therefore, we say it is not a simple ethical behavior. You can't legislate that you love everybody, don't hate anybody. How can you follow it? Some people, some religions give the ethical behavior as a universal and absolute ethics. Absolute ethics you say, but is it possible? Practically, when you try to live, what happens? Now they say, you believe me, even if you fail in your ethical level, we will make up for you, doesn't matter. Ethically, nobody can follow those ethics. Therefore, you believe us, and all that negative feelings, negative thoughts, negative work, negative karma, bad karma you do, the result will come. We will help you to escape the papa. You believe us. So this is only This is only a wrong way of doing. It doesn't work. We know it is not successful, but you see how they solve the problem. Ethical behavior of not hurting anybody, loving everybody as an ideal is good, but practically is it possible? It is not practical. Nobody can succeed. So we know that it is impossible to follow. Nobody can be successful. Then how do you solve this problem? See, Vedanta says you can solve it. You can be absolutely non-violent, absolutely loving the entire universe, all the beings. Only that love is backed by the Atma's nature. If you understand Atma is a universal Atma, if you intuit you are not an individual, that notion of I notion gets falsified, that the Atma behind the I notion is not an individual Atma. If you understand that Atma is a universal Atma, then only that universal love can be sustained. Otherwise, it remains an ideal and impracticable. And people say, taking the ideal written in the book the ideal is written. Taking the ideal, they say our religion is great because we love everybody. It is okay for writing, but can you practice it? But in practice, keep on hating and killing and destroying cultures and societies and world, enslaving them and colonizing them and all that they do. And they say it is our God's order, therefore we are following. We are not at fault. It is not our fault. See how they escape. They escape in the name of book, or in the name of you believe in your prophet or in your only son or somebody. They will forgive you for all your sins. Therefore they say, now where is the need to forgiveness? You need to forgive because forgiveness is necessitated because the crime is inevitable. Then why don't you correct the very crime? They say crime you must be hurting people. You must be committing crime because there is no way. Because it is the very nature of Jiva. You are an individual and other people are individual. You must be hating, you must be hurting people. Because as long as you are an individual Jiva, there will be ego, and as long as there is an individual ego, there will be hatred, there will be feelings, and you will be hurting people. You will be exploiting. You will be nice to people, those who are good to you. Sometimes you are not nice even in that. So once you are an individual, your feelings will be individual centered. Okay, your feelings will be advantageous to your individual ego, individual Jiva. If you are a Jiva or an individual, your feelings also will be keeping in view your individual happiness and individuality. Naturally, some people are favorable to you, some people are unfavorable to you. So naturally, you start loving, hating, and then fearing some people. This will become inevitable. Then how do you solve? They say set as an ideal. Since our ideal is great, therefore we are great. Or our book says, permits that if somebody hurts you, go and you hurt him. And he says, I am not hurting. Our book says, therefore I am hurting him. Therefore I am free from sin. One religion says, you can, if somebody hurts you, or even if it doesn't hurt you, go and hurt him, exploit him. My religious book says, and our God has enjoined to hurt others. Therefore, if I hurt others, I am not incurring sin. That means, what is your instinctive nature of Jiva? What is instinctive nature of Jiva? That is ego. An individual ego naturally feels all others are away from you, separate from you. Then naturally you will be interested in your individuality alone. Other people are favorable, unfavorable, only look at that. So this ego and what you call being self-centered is natural. So you only look upon others only as long as they are useful to you or helpful to you. Otherwise you will not care. You don't mind hurting others. So this is a natural egoist, natural Jiva's behavior. So this is natural. So if the religious book accepts your natural Jiva's behavior of feeling egoistic, relating to other as an individual Jiva alone, You can exploit others, you can hurt others, you can take revenge and all those things. So your own jiva's weaknesses, jiva's natural instinctive behavior of hatred, hurt and anger, this anger and hurt are permitted by your religious book, and you say God has permitted, why should I be blamed? See how the very book itself is confirming, is permitting the egoistic individual jiva's behavior. Individual jiva or an egoistic person naturally feels hurt with others, gets angry. He hates somebody, exploits others for his selfishness. If your selfishness is permitted by your book and your God and your prophet and all, your God, prophet and your book permits you that you can be selfish. You can do these selfish acts. You can hate others, you can hurt others, you can exploit others. And this person says that I am not doing on my own, I am following our religious book, therefore no blame attaches, no sin is incurred. I can rape a non-believing woman, I can kidnap her, rape her as long as I can like, and I can sell her and make money. And if you ask it, what is this you are doing? You are hurting people, you are committing a sin. They say, no, we are not doing, we are only following our God's word, therefore no blame, no papa attaches to us. Now, I am not, see, my purpose is not here to criticize and find fault. This is what it is, I am just presenting, this is what they say. Now, is this handling the papa? Is it removing the papa, or is it, what you say that? Legitimizing the papa and calling it as permitted by God, therefore there is no papa. See how religions solve the problem. Problem is there, everybody admits. You hate people, some you love, some you hate. You are selfish, you exploit others. Okay, there is a tendency to exploit. So in the mind there is motive, and at the body level there is a wrong behavior. Now how do you solve? Or you are the only son, yes, you believe you are only son, sin you must, there is no way. Because sin you must, sin is inevitable. That means jiva is naturally selfish. Now what do they say? They legitimize and they say, you must sin because that is your nature. Then what is the solution? You believe us and all your sins will be forgiven and you will be sent to heaven. Now these two religions, or maybe three also, their root is Judaism, and other two religions springing from those two, one. So these three religions give you this kind of a solution. Now if there is any other religion, any other tradition, whether in India or elsewhere, and we are interested in this idea, not in naming a particular religion. If such an idea anybody holds anywhere, whether in Eastern world or Western world, if anybody holds this idea, now let us analyze this idea. Is it solving the problem? First, it is admitting, accepting that as long as you are a jiva or an individual, you can't but be selfish. You can't but be entertaining a feeling of good and bad towards various people. Some people hurt you, you get angry. You hate him. Some people are favorable to you, he is helpful to you, then you like him. So you like him, dislike him, and then your selfishness, these are inevitable. All religions accept. Now what is the solution they offer? We are only disputing at the level of solution. Now what is the solution Vedanta says? And what is the solution the certain other people, certain other traditions give? They are not helping you to transcend the very jivahood. They retain the jivahood, and they admit that the jiva's natural selfishness, natural hurting, exploiting, all that is also natural. That means once they call it natural, then you have got a permission to continue. Only you are worried, but it is natural, okay, but it is a sin. You are helplessly committing sin. It is helpless and you are committing and you must commit, and there is no way you cannot escape committing the sin. Once you admit it, then what is the solution? They can encash this. They use this exploited. They say, you believe us and we will free you. You can commit the sin, you can continue to be jiva, you can continue to be karta, bhokta, jnata, jiva. Okay. Only we will help you not to get the result of it. If this is the solution, it looks shallow. It is only fooling the people, exploiting the people's emotions and feelings, fears. There is a fear. So they give you that you can be exploitative, you can be selfish, don't worry about that. Only you trust us, doesn't matter. You can continue your sinning. Only more you sin, more your trust in me should increase. That more you can be comfortably commit the sin, and more you trust us that he is there to look after me. Now this is not a solution. This is only playing with your emotions in the name of religion. The very religious dogma, your God and your what you call the only son or the last prophet or the first prophet, whatever you call it, first or last or middle prophet, whatever prophet. Now this is not solving a problem. This is only, in spite of your sinning nature and sins, it is only clearing your guilt, making your mind relaxed. Okay? You can commit the sin, you can be selfish, you can exploit, but you can feel nice. You don't have to feel guilty. We are only clearing your guilty in spite of being guilty. We only clear your guilt. Feeling of guilt, we don't allow you. That person who believes in such a religion, he says, before that I was tormented by my guilt that, oh, I am a sinner, I am hurting people, I am hurting people. Now with this religion, whatever the religion is, which believes this dogma, whoever believes this dogma, we are interested in the dogma, we are not interested in branding any particular religion. Whoever believes that there are some traditions within India too, okay? I'm not blaming only those European religions alone. There are certain things in India too. So that's why I told wherever they are, this basic idea I am criticizing. Okay, criticizing means it's not my personal criticism. We are analyzing. Instead of criticizing, let us say we are analyzing and trying to understand it. Okay. If this see, so they are legitimizing it because it is already your weakness, it is helplessness. You are inevitably committing the sin. Inevitably you have to be selfish because you have no choice. Because as long as you are jiva, you have to be selfish. You have to be feel hurt and you will be hurting and you feel hurt. Now what is the solution? Only solution is you have to help you to transcend the very jivahood that they don't know. Those religions don't know. Those upasana religions, belief systems don't know how to help you to transcend it. Then they say, they legitimize it and say, you believe us and you will be taken care of. So are they solving the problem? So the guilt arises because this is a wrong thing, that you are selfish and you are hurting people and you are feeling hurt and you are hurting others. Then what should you do? Then they give a dogma. Dogma helps you to create a certain feeling in you. The feeling, what happens with that feeling? The feeling in you clears your guilt and continue the same behavior, same feelings, same motives. They don't correct the motives. They don't correct your feelings. They don't correct your selfishness. They don't correct your behavior with others. They only say, you believe us, the effect of this behavior will not touch you. The papa will not touch you. You believe us. Okay. This is a very interesting. But Vedanta says, the very as long as you identify, as long as you are jiva, your kartru, bhoktru, jnatru, your individual behavior is inevitable. Only thing is, you may lessen, you may keep under control. You may keep under control. You can be less selfish. You can be a little bit more gentle, more kind-hearted, but a small degree will remain until you remove the very jivahood, transcend the very jivahood. But as long as you are jiva, you can purify yourself, you can control, you can be less, but there is a little element will remain. So first it tells you control your jivahood. You control your mind and purify your mind. So therefore purification is sadhana, bhakti is a sadhana, expanding your heart, seeing all the beings in spite of their various behavior, various beliefs, customs, religions, and etc. Essentially all the human beings, all the jivas have similarity. Therefore they have got their own problems. They are under their own pressure of jivahood and ajnana and all that. So people behave the way they behave. They are what they are. So understand them. So you turn inwardly, try to purify your mind, see God in everybody, try to feel at least. So in this feeling, you can reduce your selfishness, you can reduce your hatred and ego and all that to a certain degree, to a considerable degree. But yet a small degree will remain. Because that's why we told, as long as you are jiva, a little bit degree will remain. It remains only under subjugation, under control. You have to be continuously under God. If you are little slackened, it slips, again the ego, selfishness, and then hatred comes out. Okay. Once it comes out, then you will be committing sin. You will have to pay for the papa. Isn't it? Therefore, Dharma Shastra will give you little control. And religion, by religion we mean upasanas. Okay. If upasana shastra will purify your mind, but still that individual, a subtle, subjugated, purified jivahood remains. Therefore, a small degree of hatred, a small degree of selfishness remains. Absolutely it won't go, but it remains highly controlled, highly purified state. Therefore, karma will control to certain extent, upasana will control still to a high degree, but still remains. That will go only by jnana. Okay. When you falsify that individuality, falsifying means what? Your identity with the body, mind, and sense organs. Your identification with, as long as you are identified with the body, mind, and sense organs, your being an individual becomes inevitable. In fact, individuality means this identification. This is what is jiva. Jiva means identification with body, mind, and sense organ. Jiva means being an individual. So jiva, individuality, identification with the body, mind, and sense organs, all the three are same. Then your needs, desires, all those things will become intact. The needs, desires, ambitions, all of them will remain. Once your selfish desires are there, then you will be pursuing certain things. Whichever is favorable, you like it. Whichever is unfavorable, you start hating. So hatred and liking and disliking becomes inevitable because you have a desire. The desires are inevitable because there is a jivahood. Jivahood is inevitable because I identify myself with my body, mind, and sense organ. See, you can control, keep it under check, but can't remove it totally. Okay. That is possible only when your identity is checked, when your identity is corrected, and you understand that you are Brahman. Okay. When you understand, that means your individual identity is corrected. Corrected, how do you correct it? It is the way of looking. Therefore, I am an individual is a way of looking yourself through mind, through body. Through body, through mind, you look like an individual. See, the space through the four walls look like caught within between the four walls. What is caught between the four walls looks like a small area of space. How does the all-pervasive space look like an area of space? How does an all-pervasive space look like an area, a limited space? Because you see that space through the four walls. Similarly, you are looking at yourself through the body, through set of sense organs, through mind. Then you appear yourself to be an individual. Now your angle of looking, your way of looking should be shifted from the body. You remove the body because body is external to you, is not an essential part of the Atma. Body is external to you. It is not an essential part of Atma. But we have taken for granted that body is an essential part of Atma. Therefore, a notion about myself is there based upon the body. Based upon the body, I say I am so and so. Based upon the sense organs, I say I am somebody. Based upon mind, I say I am so and so. Having certain feelings and thoughts and knowledge and experiences and all that. Therefore, my individual identity is based upon the body, mind, sense organs, and these things. So, this is individuality. This individuality is a notion based upon this. This notion should be corrected. It can be corrected if you see that body is extraneous to Atma, body is not an essential part of the Atma. Okay. When you understand that body is not an essential part of the Atma, body is something outside the Atma, body is something not intrinsic to Atma, then your understanding about yourself should not include the body. In your understanding of yourself, bodily qualities should not be added, because body is not a part of Atma. So therefore, your understanding of yourself, yourself should exclude body but not include the body. It should not be based upon the body. Then the body is left out. Then your understanding of yourself should be re-evaluated. Then they leave out the sense organs. Okay. Then leave out the mind. Mind has got two aspects. One is an emotional aspect. Another is intelligence and thoughts and views. Regarding the emotions also, none of these emotions are you. The emotional feelings are not you. Emotional feelings belong to the mind. Atma remains independent of the feelings. So Atma's nature should not be ascertained based upon the mind. So the Atma is freed from the connection with the mind, freed from sense organs, and free from intellect also. Intellect means thoughts, views, and ideologies. Thoughts, views, and ideologies, all this, it is the intellect that contains these things, thoughts, views, and ideology. But Atma itself is innocent and independent of it. So the thoughts and views cannot be attributed to Atma. Atma doesn't have any thoughts, any views, any ideology. Atma is just a pure consciousness alone. So in these things, therefore, the understanding about Atma changes, because these limiting means conditioning associates. Body is a conditioning factor. Conditioning factors. Or you take the body as a basis for evaluating the nature of Atma. So the body is a conditioning limiting factor. Sense organs are the conditioning factor. Mind, intellect, these are the factors which distort the very nature of Atma. Conditioning means distort. They distort the very nature of Atma if you look at the Atma based upon these factors. So therefore, these factors are called Upadhi in Sanskrit. So let our understanding of the Atma be independent of the Upadhi. Let Upadhi not be taken as an essential part of Atma. Okay, this is a very delicate and very subtle thing. Patiently you have to separate the Atma. Separate means in understanding alone, not physical separation. That the nature of Atma should be understood, should be evaluated independently as an Atma, not with the help of the body, not based upon the Atma, not its relation through the body. Bodily nature, bodily qualities don't attach to Atma. They remain with the body alone, and Atma remains independent of it. And the qualities of the sense organs, qualities of mind, and qualities of intellect, whatever they are, let them be, but they don't stick to Atma. They don't get attached to Atma. Atma remains. Atma is a pure consciousness. It is timeless. It is free from all time, free from all space. It is universal, all-pervasive, and natural Atma. If once I discover such an Atma, I cease to be an individual. Individuality is no longer my real nature. Earlier I thought individuality is my real nature. Here your whole understanding about yourself gets corrected. In this corrected understanding about yourself, you discover that you are unconnected with the body. That means you are no more an individual. It is the individual who has got selfish desires, who is related to the world and the people. Then you divide the world into favorable and unfavorable. Divide the entire world and entire beings as favorable and unfavorable. Sometimes you divide yourself also, that sometimes you are favorable to you means your own body, mind and sense organs. Sometimes they are favorable to you, sometimes they are unfavorable to you. So your own body, mind and sense organs, which means as an ordinary man, as a jiva, your body, mind and sense organs are essential part of you. So your own essential part is sometimes favorable to you, sometimes unfavorable to you. That's why you have got a double feelings towards body, mind and sense organ. Sometimes you like, sometimes you don't like. Sometimes it is favorable, sometimes it is not, isn't it? And mind also, and sense organs also. So a part of the body which you like, you remember. Other part of the body you ignore. You try to remove it from your mind. A part of your personality, a part of your nature, your qualities, you like, but there is another part, some of the features in you, in your mind and intellect. You may not have very sharp intellect, you may not have good emotions, in your experiences, in your activities of past, your acts in the past, some of the acts are good, some of the acts are morally bad. So you try to forget those bad acts and behave as if you have not done. And good acts alone you associate. You think and you feel proud that I am such a good person, that I have done so many things. So you remember all your good acts alone, but you try to forget, try to ignore them. But though they remain in your life, they are part of your life. They are facts of your life. They are factual history. Even if you consciously ignore, your unconscious mind retains. Therefore, but your personality is shaped based upon your conscious and unconscious both. Unconscious are those you try to consciously ignore. You consciously try to be unconscious of them. But yet they are a fact of life. They remain a part of your personality, though I consciously try to avoid them as if I have not done them. Though I have done some acts, though I feel that as if I have not done, yet I have done anyway. The truth can't be otherwise. It is a fact. But your personality is shaped upon those experiences. Therefore, in your personality, you identify with the body, mind, and sense organs, and their qualities also, their acts, their qualities as well as acts. Mind does various sankalpas, body acts. It does good and bad karmas. So, good karmas it feels proud of, and bad karmas it feels guilty. Okay, but as long as you identify with the body, all the bodily acts get attached to you, good and bad, both get attached to you. Some of them you may correct by dharma, by following dharma, but you can't be absolutely free from them. Partly you can correct, you can improve, you can be a better jiva, but you can't be absolutely free from jiva without jnanam. Okay, by karma and upasana, you can improve your jiva, you can make better jiva, but can't be totally free from jivahood. That's possible only by understanding your real nature of the Atma, which is not based upon body, mind, and sense organs, but it is by itself, on its own. Atma, which stands on its own, is universal, all pervasive, free from any blemishes. No blemish attached to it. It is free from all blemish, free from all ignorance, free from all adhyasa, free from anything other than Atma. Atma alone, all alone, the pure Chaitanyam. Okay, that pure Chaitanyam is not an individual, it is a universal being, entire universe. Once he discovers that, then Sarvabhuta Hite Rataha becomes spontaneous and effortless. You don't consciously practice it. In the beginning you may do, but later it becomes spontaneous. You don't practice because the mind, it is the mind alone continuously enter. You need to practice because you generally tend to slip down. If your mind slips down, you need to practice it. But now Once you discover and you are established in the nature of the Atma, you understand the Atma is a universal being, then all are just limbs of my body, similar to, just as my limbs are limbs, all my limbs are of all the limbs of my body are my limbs alone. Similarly, all the living and non-living beings are my own parts. Then you cannot think of hurting, hating anybody. So effortlessly you are non-violent. Effortlessly you love everybody. It is not a conscious choice. If you make a conscious choice, you may sometimes slip down, because the continuously you have to make a sankalpa. Continuously you have to entertain a thought. But once in a while the thought slips down, then you tend to hate. Here you transcend the very will. Your love for the universe transcends your will. Otherwise, in our normal love, the will come and interferes. Sometimes you don't like it, you can withdraw the will. At least you can entertain a different thought. Our love is interfered by our karmas, interfered by our emotions, interfered by our will. Will chooses differently. Then our love is not universal and uniform. Okay, our love is not universal and uniform. But in a jnani, an enlightened person transcends the individuality, then transcends the mind and intellect, transcends the will. Will is there externally to use in the world, but the will is not used to understand the Atma. The will is not for the Atma, will is for the worldly life, not for himself. He leaves out the will and mind and intellect and everything, stands as the Atma. Okay? Therefore, the will doesn't interfere. Will makes choices. Any choice you make, good and bad, or whatever choice you make, the choice doesn't affect the Atma. That is enlightenment. If your willpower, the will is choosing various acts, various thoughts, so the choosing of a thought, choosing of actions, the process of action, each one, the mind is continuously choosing. If the choice is affecting the Atma, then you continue to be Jiva. If your choices are not affecting the Atma, any choice you make, good and bad, your Atma remains unaffected by it, because Atma transcends the very will. Okay? It is an understanding, not by trying to ignore the will. You can't ignore. Even ignoring is a will again. It is not by ignoring, it is by discovering that your consciousness is ever pure, ever free from body, mind and sense organ. It remains ever pure. It was pure, it is pure, it will be pure. It was universal, it is universal, it will be universal. Because that's how it is. It is its very nature. So that Atman, which is ever free from all these things, is unaffected by the bodily nature, unaffected by the mind, unaffected by the feelings, thoughts and will also. The will doesn't affect the Atma. That means whatever choices you make, the Atma's purity, Atma's Ananda, Atma's universal love remains unaffected. That's why we call that is a universal love, spontaneous, effortless love. Jnani's love is effortless. He doesn't have to control, oh, I may lose my love, I should be. He is not practicing, he is not controlling. It is spontaneous, effortless, effortlessly universal love, a choiceless universal love. Is transcending Atma, transcending Jivahood. You're transcending your individuality and you stand as an Atma. Atma by its nature, spontaneous nature, choiceless nature, it is universal because it sees everything as yourself, everything as itself. Therefore, it cannot think of hating anybody. It's impossible. However, you are hurt personally, physically, body is hurt, still he cannot hate people. Just like my hand hurts my another hand, I cannot hate my hand. He cannot hate anybody in spite of their hurting me. Hurting me means body, because he doesn't stand as a body. He stands as an Atma. So other people also my body only. Therefore, Sarva Bhuta Hite Ratah. I think this Sarva Bhuta Hite Ratah is going on in the last 3 classes, 4 classes. I think I have completed today. because different levels, different angles we have to discuss. Otherwise, you get only one aspect of it and again you misunderstand. I discussed it from 3-4 angles. Now I feel my mind itself tells that no, it is not complete. Again in the next class something comes. Again in the next class something else comes. Now I feel that I have completed it. Now in the next class I won't touch it again. Next class we will proceed with the next shloka, that is the 26th shloka. Each class I say, but something else comes. Now I feel here that I have explained the idea of behind Sarvabhuta Hite Rata thoroughly and completely well. I have done the justice. Means at the moment, I don't know, after some time, after a few months, I may get another idea. But anyway, at the moment I see that I have explained it well. Now we can proceed it. Kamakrodha Viyuktanam, 26th shloka. Kamakrodha Viyuktanam Yatinam Yatachetasam Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam. Now it is 12:30. 2 or 3 minutes more. So we'll continue in the next class. Okay. Om Shanti. Today is the 6th. So next class, next 13th we can have a class. Afterwards I'll be going out for 2 weeks. So I think 2027. 2 weeks, last 2 weeks of the month I shall be out. So we may not have, but 13th next week we shall have. 13th we will have, and again after I come back in the December month we can have. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.